Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So here's another new deck profile for you guys today. This time it's on the new Cyberdarks. So Cyberstrike structure decks just came out actually yesterday at local OTS stores. However, unfortunately, they're all selling for about $15 a piece since, that's just kind of like what's going on with TCG Play right now. And right now everybody's after the impermanence reprints. So yeah, but I still bought them just to support my local game store, and yeah, I figured I'd just do that at least. But anyway, if you find these at your local Walmart or Target, definitely get them while they're at $10 a piece. So yeah, but anyway, these are definitely worth it in my opinion. This is actually probably the best structure deck of the year because Ice Bears very lackluster, and the Egyptian God structure decks were pretty lame. So yeah, I'm not gonna get into details with that, and actually it's one of the reasons why I decided not to do their budget deck profiles on those. But for this deck, I decided to do that at least. So I'm only using cards within the structure deck, but I will come back and actually build a competitive variation of this deck. So just, be patient with me and all that stuff. But anyway, let's go and get started. So the main deck's 40 cards, and let's get started. So for those who are unfamiliar with Cyberdarks, they're basically a deck that revolves around getting cards into the graveyard to get some advantage. And the whole purpose of this is to OTK with this deck too. So anyway, starting off with 2 copies of Cyberdark Chimera. So this is actually the newest card of the structure deck. This card reads is that you can discard one spell or trap to add Power Bond from your deck to your hand. So yeah, the fact that you have to discard a spell might not seem great, but it's a good way just to deal with like dead cards too. So don't panic, honestly. But anyway, and what's also cool about this card is that you can banish materials whenever performing a fusion summon from your graveyard as well. So that's pretty neat. And also, if this card leaves the field and hits the grave, you can send another Cyberdark monster from your deck to the grave, as long as it's different from the ones that you already have in your graveyard. Next, 3 copies of Cyberdark Cannon, one of the main searches of this deck. You can discard this card to add a machine Cyberdark monster from your deck to your hand. And during damage calculation, if a monster equipped with this card battles, you can send one monster from your deck to the grave. So definitely one of the best Cyberdarks in the deck. Next, 3 copies of Cyberdark Claw. Similar effect, the only difference is that when you discard this card, you add a Cyberdark spell or trap. And also, during damage calculation, if a monster equipped with this card battles, you can send one monster from your extra deck to the grave. So similar effects, but they're really good because, again, you can basically just discard them. Now for the weaker Cyberdarks, the 1-0s, 1 copy of Cyberdark Keel. So they all have the effect where their normal summon, you can target 1 level 3 or lower dragon monster. Unfortunately, it doesn't target the machine monsters, but you equip that dragon monster to this card and it gains attack points equal to that monster's original attack. And also, this card has the ability where if this card destroys, if this card would be destroyed by battle, you can destroy the equipped card or the equipped monster. And also, if this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can inflict 300 points of damage. Again, not that important because you're not really going to be using that. Now, of course, with Cyberdark Kill, you can at least target your the other ones, the Claw and the Cannon, because they are dragon types. But again, like, I wish it could also target the machine monsters too, but it is what it is. But anyway, 1 Cyberdark Edge, same effect, target a level 3 or lower dragon monster, which are going to be these 2. And also, this card can attack directly, but your opponent takes half the damage. 1 Cyberdark Horn, which is probably the best of these 3, does piercing damage on a defense position monster. But overall, like, you mostly just need to use Claw and Cannon for their discard effects. But these guys aren't half bad for their purposes, but again, you mostly just need to get them out into the graveyard. But anyway, that's it for those. Now moving on to the Cyber Dragon engine. For the Cyber Dragons, we are running 3 copies of Cyber Dragon Core because it has the mandatory effect where you have to search out a cyber spell or trap. So pretty good, and it also counts as Cyber Dragon while on the field. And I believe on the grave too. Yep, in the grave too. So yeah, pretty good. 1 Hertz. By now everyone should already know what this does. If this card is sent to the grave, you can add 1 other Cyber Dragon from your deck to your hand, or from your grave to your hand. So pretty good. And also, if this card is special summon, you can make this card level become 5 until the end of the turn. And also, you cannot special summon monsters except machine monsters for the rest of the turn. But I mean, everything in this deck is going to be primarily machine anyway. So yeah, 1 Natcher, just another extender, and it's a monster reborn for Cyber Dragon, which comes to our next card, 1 Cyber Dragon. And that rounds up our monsters. All right, so now moving on to the spells, starting off with the new Cyberdark Realm. Now, Cyberdark Realm is definitely what makes this deck so good now. It's Rhoda, and it's double summoned for Cyberdarks. And also, if you equip a monster from your grave by the effect of a Cyberdark monster, when it was normal or special summon, you can equip from your opponent's graveyard instead. So not too bad. But again, you mostly just use it for the Rhoda and the double summon effect. Next, 3 copies of Cybernetic Horizon. Now this is also a version of Rhoda. The only difference is that you send 2 dragon and or machine cyber monsters with different attributes to the grave, 1 each from your hand and your deck. So basically you send a light and a dark. And you can add 1 dragon or machine cyber monster from your deck to your hand. And if you do, send 1 machine cyber fusion monster, in which case is going to be your cyber end dragon. Now cyber end dragon is important because you're going to need it to equip with one of the monsters, which we'll get to momentarily. Moving on, 3 copies of Cyber Emergency, another way to search out Cyber Dragon. Now, in some builds, they might not play this, but in my build for the structure deck variation, I'm playing 3 copies of Limited Removal because, it's a good way just to end games downright. 2 Power Bond, it is searchable now. Running 1 Overload Fusion, and I decided to throw in 1 Cyberload Fusion just as a recovery play. And last but not least, 1 Cyberdark Inferno, just because, it does have that protection effect. And also, if this card is destroyed, you can add a polymerization or fusion spell from your deck to your hand. So, yeah, not too bad. And, yeah, that's it for the spells. All right, so moving on to traps, there's only 6 traps, and the best reprint is actually going to be 3 copies of Infinite Permanence. So, yes, super rare Infinite Permanences are in the structure deck, and I'm so happy with that. And that's probably why these structure decks are kind of going up in price. So, like I said, try to get these as quickly as possible. Next, 2 Cyberdark Invasion. It's another good form of disruption, but also it's a good way to, equip your Cyberdark effect monsters with other equipped spells. Or other monsters to act as equipped spells. So, not too bad. And next, 1 Cybernetic Overflow, just for more disruption. Alright, so that's it for the main deck. That was 40 cards. Now moving on to the extra deck. So, starting off with 3 copies of Cyberdark End Dragon. So this card can be summoned in 2 different ways. You can either do the traditional fusion summon by using Cyberdark Dragon and Cyber End Dragon, but the problem is that's going to be super hard to do. So the card you're actually going to be using, or the way you are going to be special summoning, is by tributing a level 10 monster that's equipped with Cyber End Dragon. So remember that card, Cybernetic Horizon? Let me double check, make sure that's right. Yeah, Cybernetic Horizon, where you're primarily going to dump Cyber End Dragon with it. Well, that's the purpose. You're going to be actually, out of all the Cyberdark monsters you will be summoning, the fusion ones, you're going to be summoning this off of Power Bond, Cyber Darkness Dragon. So it just requires 5 Cyberdark monsters. And keep in mind, this is super easy to do. So like Cyberdark Chimera says, you can banish materials from your graveyard whenever you perform a fusion summon, So when you activate Power Bond, you'll send like that and banish 4 other Cyberdark, maybe 3 if you already have another one in hand to normal summon with the effect of with the Rhoda. But anyway, the purpose is that, yeah, you use this to equip the Cyber End Dragon you dump off of Cybernetic Horizon, equip it to it, then tribute this card, and then you can bring out the big boy. This guy is basically immune to the activated effects of your opponent's cards, and this one is an Omni Negate, so if you want to stick to this, that's fine too. But yeah, this card, the fact that it can also get additional attack, additional attacks for every equipped card it has, that's pretty nuts. And with 5,000 attack points, that's pretty huge. So you can essentially OTK with these cards alone. But anyway, moving on, 3 copies of Cyber End Dragon, which, you're going to be dumping mostly. 3 Chimera Tech Over Dragon, which is good, but it has a downside where you have to send every other card you control to the grave. So, yeah. And, of course, 3 copies of Cyber Dark Dragon, which you're probably never going to make, honestly, but it can be done. But, again, you mostly just want to aim turbo out the Cyber Dark End Dragon as quickly as possible. Alright, so now moving on to the side deck. And this is what I love about this structure. There's actually enough cards in here to even make a side deck. So 3 copies of Orochi, 3 Jasiriku, 3 Cyber Eternal. This card I thought was pretty good. It's basically Monster Reborn. And it actually brings back the big boy if your opponent miraculously outs it, and since it ignores summoning conditions, I figured that was pretty good. And also has a protection effect too, so not too bad. 3 Paleozoic Canadia for basically the Book of Moon effect. And just to kind of like stall out for time, Powerwall. So basically what this card does is that during damage calculation, when you would take battle damage from an opponent's attacking monster, you can send 1 card from the top of your deck to the grave for every 500 points of damage you would take. So not too bad. You know, feeds the graveyard, and that's kind of like what you want to do anyway. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and I will catch you guys again next time.